If you were to have a perfect performance now, what would you do the night leading up to? If you have control of these variables, like you're not
Yeah.
touring that night before, you're not with Blackpink, you just got one performance, let's say on a Saturday night. What are you
Yeah.
doing Friday night? What are you doing Saturday morning, Saturday
Yeah.
day, performing Saturday night,
Yeah.
and then maybe even Sunday morning? Give us a
Yeah.
run through of like what would be the
Yeah.
perfect dance warm up and then
Routine.
day and then
Yeah.
like warm down, cool down type of thing. What would be
Yeah.
the optimal Loren dance?
Yeah. So, funnily enough, I ended up being able to do this on tour last year. I got really specific about the way that I would control or like handle things I could control prior to a show. So, ideally, the day before, I'd make sure that I was doing probably more specified work where I needed to, but the goal would be to make sure my body is rested and recovered and ready to fire on this show for Saturday or whatever.
So would you lift
Um,
weights on that day? Would you take a rest?
I wouldn't probably lift weights unless I have an injury that I'm trying to prevent. So just making sure that like my joints are working and doing what they need to.
So would it be more
Uh,
rehab than a
yes,
challenging
I
workout?
do. Yes, I do more rehab or specific activation. So if I know that the show is full of me like jumping up and down like crazy, then I'm going to make sure that my legs are ready and prepared. So I would do a certain amount of resistance work, but I wouldn't be trying to push the boundaries or go to failure or do the things that
Yeah.
could tire me out for the next day.
hmm All right,
Um,
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, I would definitely do a full body stretch because dancers require a lot of mobility or just a lot of flexibility in their movement. Sorry, I do a full body stretch that is like specific to what I'm doing in the show. So again, if I'm using my legs a lot, then I'm making sure my legs are really ready to go and they're going to be able to get into that position that they need them to without having to stress my muscles too much. And then I would have a big frickin' breakfast. That's always a thing. In the dance world, nutrition is really not talked about. It's like, especially we had a fad where female dancers needed to be like super skinny and slim. And so people just starved themselves to look good on a show day. But my goal has always and will always be to perform well. So I need to make sure my caloric intake is like matching that. So I always have a really big breakfast, do my flexibility routine, and then I would probably rest because we normally do have like rehearsals on the day of show. We would go in and run the show or run the things that need to be fixed for people or the artist or whatever it looks like. I always take my resistant band and my foam roller. The reason I take my foam roller habit is because we don't really have time in between rehearsals to properly cool down. So if I even get like a couple of minutes to do what I need to do to make sure that I'm providing my body with the right care, then I do so. And we're dancing on concrete and doing those things. So I'll take that to rehearsals and then I'll make sure I'm doing activations for the muscles that I need just before going into rehearsals. And then I go back, have a really good lunch. And then prior to the show, so just before we're about to go on stage, I'll do the same. I'll do like 10 minutes of activation, 10 minutes of mobility, and then I've obviously done about 20 minutes of warming into what I need to do. Again, it's all really specific to the movement. So I'm not just doing a random overall body warm up. It's going to be really specific to the movement I'm doing in the show and whatever I need. And then after,
Yeah,
I
so
never,
after the
sorry,
show
yep,
on the night, and then we'll talk
yes.
about the next morning, if there's anything.
Yeah, after the show on the night, it depends on what that looks like. Sometimes you have to go to an event or an after party, or like you're required to quickly leave before the fans come out and they're crazy. Um, but if I can, I will make sure that I do a certain amount of stretches, like even if I just get like a couple of stretches in to help my back because I've had back issues in the past, or to stretch my legs or my calves because I know that I've done a whole bunch of plyos the whole time. So I'll just do stretches where I can. And then if I'm able to get home in time, I will do a bit like a better stretch routine and then I'll hop in the bath and like chill out and enjoy it and whatnot. And then the next day is full recovery. Like I'm not doing anything. I'm being lazy.
Just full chill.
Unless, yeah, full chill. Unless I need to do some active recovery to flush my legs out, then I'll go for a walk or something like that. But it's definitely full chill. I want my body to like not be overstimulated. I want to calm down and prepare myself for rehearsals on Monday or whatever that looks like.
When I first thought of doing a podcast in 2019, I wrote down everything that I wanted to achieve with the show. And one thing I never wrote down was to spam you with ads of products that I never really used myself. However, I did write down that I wanted to grow it as big as possible and have as many interesting people on the show as I could. To help make that happen, all I ask is that you leave a review on the podcast platform that you're listening to this episode on and share it with someone that you know it will benefit. If you want to support myself even further, and more importantly, your body transformation, and are interested in having me as your coach to help you achieve the results that you just can't seem to achieve on your own, you can visit teamrockashby.com to see what program fits you best.